ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was standing, you were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. We can live for 1,000 years.
Hey, did you just see that ad in the Super Bowl? What'd you think? That was a pretty. It actually was a very controversial ad. So that was this "He Gets Us" Super Bowl ad. It aired during this 2024 Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Niners, and they say the budget for these ads is like $100 million. And this ad is important because it caused a lot of cultural turmoil in Americans and Christians, non-Christians. I guess the goal of the ad was to sort of portray Jesus Christ, or the teachings of Jesus Christ, as sort of this non-dualistic way where we don't hate each other and we wash each other's feet no matter what. And although I like that message in general, I do feel like it's a little bit controversial. And this ad really did stir up a big vortex in humanity, those who care about this kind of stuff, which I do, because I care about the message of Jesus Christ and I care about getting it right. I'm just kidding. I more care about talking about it. I really actually, in terms of just like as an ad to really provoke thought-provoking ideas and concerns, I feel like this ad was very successful. I don't feel, I mean, there's probably no other better way to really dive into the teachings of Jesus Christ. So let's talk about it. There's a couple things I want to share about this ad, and I'm really curious about what you think, what your perspective is as well. And so please leave your comments. So first of all, I just want to say that like any ad, like talking about Jesus Christ is probably a good thing in general, even if it's a little bit controversial or not exactly based on a Christ standard of truth. Who am I to say? But the reason that we get to talk about it, right? Like, first of all, the budget was like $100 million. There was actually two ads. There was this one and another 15-second ad that was about being a neighbor to all. And I went on the HeGetsUS website and I read about it, and I encourage you to do the same. And it's pretty nice message. It's just about loving everyone and in all life, and I think that's beautiful and valid. But I do think there has to be some sort of standard of right or wrong in a way, and I try not to be too dualistic about it, but I feel like there's an absolute standard in life of Christ's consciousness, of Christ's teachings, and that transcends the duality, but it is an absolute standard, and without that, there's chaos. And so, like, for example, like, if there's like a murderer, someone who murders people, and he's like washing a foot of like a person he murdered, and it's like, he gets us, like, Jesus loved this guy too. He murdered people, and when Jesus would still love him, it's like, no, not really. Jesus doesn't want people to kill each other. So, like, that's an example of like where there has to be a line, right? Like, there's things in life that aren't right, and we don't want to say that they're okay. And Jesus didn't really, in my opinion, Jesus didn't say that they're okay either. In fact, he would actually, what I understand his true teachings is, he would tune into his universal Christ consciousness within him that you and I have, that all of us have, and he would act through the open door of his I am presence. And in that way, his God self would guide him to do the acts that he practiced and the miracles he performed. Like, he wouldn't heal someone if their faith wasn't at the level, but other times he would wash feet, or uh, you know, I mean, I believe actually he kind of only washed his disciples' feet after the Last Supper, but there were certain acts and miracles that he performed for people if their faith was strong. And so he wasn't going around forgiving everyone and just saying everything's all good all the time. There was a standard, a Christ standard. He had a sword of truth that cut through darkness. And I'm not really sure if that's portrayed too well in this commercial. So I agree with the loving unity and seeing the soul of the individual as a pure divine being, but I don't really agree with like all the acts of the soul in the concept of it are okay. And so I definitely there, and so like some of these things are very controversial. Like, there was an abortion scene where the lady who was picketing the abortion sign was washing the woman's feet outside the abortion clinic. That is, I this commercial is pretty good because in terms of like as a commercial, it's hard not to take a stand in some way. So I feel like that's a good thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to talk about my views on this right now, but there were a lot of other things. I think they could have gone a little further, to be honest, because I didn't see other some things that I'll mention that I think could have, if their goal was just to kind of rate humanity's way of dealing with controversy and this black and white things. I think there were some other issues that they could have brought up. They mainly focused on like sort of like the contemporary woke issues, which are gender ideologies, and some environmental stuff, and gay, heterosexual kind of views, and I think those were, and like cop racism kind of stuff, and like, yeah, those were the main things. Um, Another thing I do like about this video, though, it was really well like shot, like well kind of photographed. Okay, it almost like, I kind of really like it because it really challenged sort of what is art these days in a way, because if you have been paying attention to sort of what's popular, there's a lot of images that are generated by AI, which is like, you call it AI. I don't even know why they call it artificial intelligence, because it seems like it's just like, at least these image generation ones, it's like, it's not that intelligent. It doesn't seem like too far-fetched. It's like you plug in your prompt and it makes an image. It's like, it doesn't sound too intelligent. It's like people, like the program scours the web and finds an image. Maybe it's learning, but it doesn't seem like it's learning too much. At least I don't know. I when I see these AI images, they're like a little bit like too perfect, and I think that's why a lot of people thought that this photo shoot was AI, because like they staged it really beautifully, and like each image is super compelling, and like really like, there's a lot going on. The composition, I think AI art actually does do a really good job of composition, so shout out to that. But I just give a shout out to AI art. That's fun. Um, but no, like shout out to the artists out there who know good composition well. Like this, I think, in this photo shoot, there was all these images are really well composed. There's like a central object, and there's enough for the eye to kind of go around. They're really intriguing. I want to go deeper into the photos, so that's cool. And other issues that it didn't talk about that are pretty contemporary right now would have been stuff like around pharmaceuticals and health and body fitness, sort of different practices that have maybe been controversial in our humanity around different in the past 5 years of pharmaceutical actions and mandates and other things that's really contemporary. It didn't talk about politics too much. It kind of stayed out of like the 2024 political race, um, and so it didn't talk too much about war. Um, and let's see, those are the main ones that I guess they could have taken other stances on, but again, these are all very controversial uh, topics, and it's hard to really find like what is a right or wrong thing. So I do feel like Jesus Christ, the flame of Jesus Christ and the teachings of Jesus Christ is an absolute standard for a compass for one's life and what's right or wrong in life. And I don't feel like that can be ever wrong. So that's a good standard if you are interested in the teachings of Jesus Christ. By all means, tune into him yourself. And I think, like a lot of messages of Jesus and other divine beings, because there's a lot that they've been often co-opted or compromised by a certain ideological mindset that aims to take away from the message of Jesus Christ or these other divine beings. And that's a little nefarious, such as that one can only go through to the heavenly realm, through to the ascension, through the church or through an outer institution or an outer individual, like Jesus. And like Jesus's message, in my opinion, was that like, hey, look, I can do this, you can do this, like let's do this together. What I've done you can do, and you can even do better than me. And through my consciousness or the Christ consciousness that I come to demonstrate, you as well can demonstrate that Christ consciousness, universal Christ consciousness, and ascend to a higher spiritual realm and graduate from the earth and attain eternal life and leave this illusion behind. Boy, are there illusions out there, and I think we all kind of can agree on that at least. And I hope that we can be free. And I do again just thank this commercial in a way for bringing this up so people can talk about this in a good way, and really find out what's true for themselves. So go within, follow the inner Buddha, the inner Christ, and catch you next time. Peace.